It's good, people. Ads here. Just going over pertinent news that I have found throughout the week, particularly the last few days that I wanted to share. I am on the move again. As you can maybe see, I'm at a B&B right now. And I tried for a good 15 minutes to get a setup going for my green screen, but to no avail. So it's going to be a bit before I get in my studio back. Well, where I'm going, and that's all I'll say. But as far as news this week, I wanted to go over. I thought this was pretty pertinent. New York Times, no less. That's, in my eyes, quite surprising that they would print this article. Trump overhaul of campus sex assault rules wins surprising support. Feminist scholars say colleges and universities are failing, or were failing, to sufficiently protect the rights of young men accused of sexual misconduct, such as Professor Janet Halley of Harvard. And she has applauded these new administrative rules by Trump that they see as fairer. And I don't know, I thought this was really, really interesting. Federal judge, Obama era rules, the importance of due process, which is, you know, it's a right. It's American right, unless you live unless you go to school on a university campus during the Obama administration. And I would know this because I went to school on a big time university campus while Obama was president. Now, granted, I was never, fortunately, summoned to one of these kangaroo courts, which is good because you know, there's just no winning in a kangaroo court by definition. So I think that's good. That due process is coming back to university campuses in that sense. And other news, big time police brutality, of course. And this is actually in where is this? Canada. This is female on female crime right here, people. Looks like a police officer, Canadian police officer, using excessive force on a nursing student. Look at this. Physically injured, emotionally scarred, says the student. During a wellness check. That's quite a wellness check right there. Stop calling 911 for wellness checks on your loved ones. Call their therapist. Call mental health hospital, but call 911. Cops show up and your loved one is assaulted, even more terrorized and even more traumatized. So I'm not going to watch the video, but not surprising. Police beating somebody up for no reason. So this is another thing I wanted to share as well. And this is in North Carolina. And I actually have kind of a personal connection here because I have a friend whose dad, I'm not going to say who it is, of course, is a cop. Not in this state, but kind of near it. Perhaps to the south a little bit. Hopefully that doesn't give it away to you Einsteins out there. So apparently these 3 police officers went on a diatribe saying a civil war was necessary to wipe black people off the map, which is something that I am not really that surprised at. And he's actually told me that his dad and his coworkers regularly use the N-word with the hard R, and they're police officers. I'm going to repeat that. My friend is white. His dad, who is a police officer, he's told me that he and his coworkers regularly say nigger. Of course, they got the black police officer, um, doing the press conference. Let me pull this up. Police chief. I'm guessing he just got promoted, right? This black police chief, so they don't look racist. An accidental activation. Oh, it was a woman police officer found it. She was doing like a routine audit, looks like. Kneeling down with black folks. About their segment, which is a Negro. This is 2020. Now, you see, depending on where you were in the nation, you might go to prison or at least get some sort of charge for saying stuff like this if you're a citizen. But since they're police officers, they're completely immune from any sort of legal responsibility whatsoever. And I love this one. This guy keeps it real. Black policeman in New York, and he was I guess a policeman for decades in New York. He's now 60, and he told the BBC that the chickens are coming home to roost. And wow, that is, it's quite accurate. Look at this. I pull this up. Chickens are coming home to roost. We should move on before I get any more angry. In other news, mobile network O2, which no longer exists, has been sending some of its former customers refunds 15 years after the end of their contract. Some people thought it was a fraud, but apparently they overcharged people a decade ago, and now they're paying them back. I'm not really sure why they're doing that now. But Justin Bieber, in case anybody didn't see, is, I don't know if he's under investigation, but he had an allegation put forth against him. No man is safe from this movement. No man is safe from the Me Too movement. Let me pull this up. Look at this. I mean, and they're going after, well, I think they tried to go after Joe Rogan. Now they're going after Joey Diaz, which is one of Joe Rogan's regular guests as well. So if Justin Bieber is getting rape allegations, no man is safe. Now he's tweeting about it. Also, I don't know if anybody saw, but Danny Masterson, the That 70s Show actor for the character Stephen Hyde, I think he's been charged with 3 counts of rape, and Ron Jeremy as well. So, I mean, this is not over by any means. And the fact that Justin Bieber, is in on it or a victim, I'm not really sure if he's, innocent until proven guilty. I'm not really sure one way or another what happened there, of course. And moving on to race a little bit, it's LeBron James. I thought this was pretty interesting. I saw this on Twitter at first, but this is the BBC article about it. He put $100 million in for a media company which aims to empower black audiences. I thought it was black artists. Let's see. I mean, my only possible, I don't know. I mean, stuff like this makes me think, it's, I think like it reminds me, and it may not be immediately obvious, but I think everyone has seen, a lot of people have seen the video of the police officer getting run over by a car in um, New York. And it makes me think of this photo because, I mean, the Buddhists would call this karma. I don't necessarily agree with creating a company that is exclusively, for Black people. And I don't think that's exactly what LeBron did here, but I could see the potential for this creating more division for sure. That being said, the Buddhists, I think, would call this karma. And that's why I don't really feel that bad. In Israeli news, this is actually very interesting. I'm surprised that this was reported on at all. Apparently, an athlete. Well, this one first. Footage of a sex act in one of its official cars in a UN vehicle. Oh my gosh. God dang it. Well, it could be worse, that's for sure. But I mean, that's not really that surprising. What I actually wanted to share was this athlete, Israeli athlete, who apparently is accused of sex trafficking. You heard it. An Israeli is getting charged with sex trafficking. It looks like Svetlana Nezdilov, former Israeli champion. She's definitely in shape in that picture. So she has been detained on organizing a scheme of sex trafficking. She's 51 now. That's interesting. It's probably low-hanging fruit. That's what it seems like to me. But I could be wrong. Elijah McClain, in case no one has heard about this, yet another person who has been ruthlessly executed by police. He's a young man. How old was he? I think he was only 23. Oh wow, this was last year, on the 24th of August. Apparently, he was dancing in the street, which it makes white people very uncomfortable, I guess, or I shouldn't say that. It made this particular white person quite uncomfortable. And they injected him with ketamine after basically torturing him for 15 minutes. Apparently, he vomited several times as well from the stress, and eventually died on the scene. And we're only just now hearing about it. I actually did sign the petition for this particular one. Elijah McClain. It's on change.org. I might actually include it in the description if I can find that link. I actually shared it on my Twitter and my Facebook. In derpy news, apparently this company Unilever has gotten in trouble because they have a product called Fair and Lovely Skin Cream, which is a big no-no because fair and lovely don't go together. It remove references to whitening or lightening products. Well, that's not going to be very good for sales. If you know anything about Asians, especially poorer Asians and Filipinos in particular, just, Japanese too. They kind of prize, especially the women, they prize really fair skin. And part of why this is because having dark skin signifies that you've been out in the sun all day and working, picking, vegetables or whatever, and therefore you are low-level labor worker and poor, right? So they try to make their skin as light as possible in Asia. And I guess this company now is getting in trouble for that, which, I mean, this looks like they predominantly sell their products in Asia, which is interesting. But it's kind of funny because white girls are always trying to tan. They're trying to get darker, and then Asians are trying to get lighter. Ridiculous. And this just made me think of Bill Gates. Apparently, they're testing vaccines now in Africa, which, I mean, he did this in India. Bill Gates did. I don't know who's leading this particular crusade. Looks like Oxford University developed the vaccine. How many of these people are going to die? Should we guess? Like, why are they testing it in Africa? You know, that's my question. Why are they testing it in South Africa instead of, say, the UK, where it was developed? Anybody want to answer that one? So we got Israeli athletes, female athlete, sex trafficking people, and Belgium has called for EU sanctions against Israel. This is real. Definitely, you're not going to hear this in the US media. If they proceed with the West Bank annexation. I mean, we hear all about Putin's annexation of Crimea, right? We don't hear about Netanyahu's annexation desires. Oh, wow. Countermeasures against Israel. An overwhelming majority prevent the annexation of Palestinian territory. So someone's coming to Palestine's defense, so to speak. We'll see if they're all talk or not. But Belgium is taking a stand against Israel and their ridiculous, maniacal power grabbing. Which, I mean, I guess it's good. The fact that it's necessary is not good. And in Canada, they're handing out free cocaine. Vancouver activists are, and demanding that the government give them drugs. Sounds like something Oregon would do. Speaking of Oregon, this is ridiculous. Lincoln County in Oregon has required people to wear masks, but only white people. Not making this up. Let me just pull it up. I actually don't have that one pulled up right now. Here we go. Yeah, this is, I mean, how is this helping anything? Are these people that stupid, or are they, in fact, white supremacists in disguise who are acting stupid, trying to make more division in the public? Am I overthinking this? Here we go. Oh, wow, that was good. I need water. It exempts non-white people. Now, look, I don't live in Lincoln County. I never did. But this is, I mean, this is discrimination by definition. And it was probably a white person who made this rule, or, you know, recommendation, whatever. Health official recommendation. For many black people, deciding whether or not to wear a bandana in public, bandana spelled wrong, to protect themselves and others from contracting coronavirus is a lose-lose situation. Oh my goodness. Oh, and Hamas is saying something about the annexation as well. That's definitely less surprising than Belgium. Just going back to the West Bank for a second here. Israel would regret this bitterly. We literally never hear about this in the US. It's insane. And it's been going on for so long. Like, I only was aware about this quite recently. I'm not going to admit exactly when. It's more of like a snowball effect rather than any one inflection point. But Hamas has warned that Israel will pay an unprecedented price if they proceed with the annexation. And let's check out this Assange real quick as well. A new indictment. Okay, this is 2 days ago now. Accuses Assange of conspiring with anonymous hackers. Free Assange, no extradition. Broaden the scope of conspiracy. And if anybody's seen Frenchies for Assange, I like that. Here, let me pull this up. It's still on Hamas, isn't it? Pepsi Watson did an interview actually with RT. It was with RT UK, where he discusses Assange's incarceration at HMP Belmarsh, which is one of England's toughest prisons. HMP Belmarsh is. It holds Lee Rigby's killers, Ian Huntley, the pedophile killer, the great train robber as well, and Julian Assange, who is in solitary as far as I know. They're trying to torture him to death. And I just don't understand why, because he told the truth, I guess. Not really sure why. And one thing too that I think I should just speak on a bit is the sex or rape allegations that came forth against Assange by these, I think they were Swedish models. And some people I know, I'm not going to say who, were talking to me about it. And I just bit my tongue. I didn't say anything, but they completely bought this story that Assange is a rapist. I'm not buying it. I think it's trumped up. I think these charges are trumped up, these rape charges. I think it was an excuse to try to get Assange back into, just try to get a hold of him, basically. So Sweden might extradite him. So, I don't really buy it. I don't think he's a rapist. I think people will say whatever they can and try to take advantage of the political climate to get a hold of him. Just a clown universe we live in. just looking at that Oregon mask guideline where only white people have to wear masks. How is that helping anything? Okay, I'm good. Look at this one. This is even clownier universe, clownlier. The U.S. Treasury has sent $1.4 billion, billion with a B, of pandemic aid to dead people. Are you trolling me right now, BBC? Because I wouldn't put it past you. You've done it before. In fact, you do it pretty regularly. But if this is true, this is ridiculous. Did not check death records before mailing out stimulus checks. Government inspectors have found. This is one of the several challenges uncovered in the review. God damn it. The U.S. government is just a bunch of retards. They're catching up to the UK for sure. they might be neck and neck now. The UK, that in my eyes, they've been, might have the most WTF government in the world, but I think the US is We're catching up, and I think we're going to surpass them pretty soon here. And this is something I actually learned recently too, and RT is corroborated this because I actually learned this from a different source, and that's that the U.S. police force learned their techniques, their fascist techniques, from Israel, and Israel using them on Palestinians. Look at this. Oh my goodness. No way. Roger Waters called it out. Wow, that's fascinating. That's awesome. Thank goodness there's an uprising, Waters told RT. It's about time. Described by Waters as an Israeli technique probably developed by the IDF in the occupied territories in Palestine. Again, no US media is going to say this, you know. CNN, Fox. You would think, you know, something like CNN or MSNBC would, because they're left and they, of course, tend to be more critical of government and government overreach, so to speak, especially in terms of, I guess, I mean, in terms of the police, you know, obviously liberals are, you know, they're more a fan of bigger government, to oversimplify it, but now they're, oh my goodness, now they're saying that they didn't teach him. Yeah, okay, whatever. For helping militarize beat cops. Why is it such a surprise that the police in the USA are trained by the Israelis? I heard of this ages ago. And you know, another thing too is the Israelis taught the Mexicans how to dissolve bodies in acid to get rid of them, which is pretty crazy. Like, why are they the ones who know how to do all this shit all the time? How to get rid of bodies and acid and fascist chokeholds for beat cops? That's fascinating that Roger Waters has said that. I mean, I don't know if his politics, but just the fact that he's a big name and he's, you know, speaking out, I think it's good. Uh, and I think more, you know, celebs like that should speak out, but only if they're actually going to say something. You know, I don't want to hear like Robbie Williams is, you know, a repeat of that, you know, just wasting my time. There's nothing more disrespectful. You know, if you're going to speak, say something. And this is a point that I made actually in a debate I had with a family member recently about gun laws. And I actually used to be, well, by virtue of my family's politics, quite against the Second Amendment. But now that I've grown up and think for myself, I am a huge supporter of the Second Amendment. And I'm not even a huge gun guy per se. I don't own any guns. I've shot guns before. I've gone hunting. You know, I've killed deer before. No bucks, unfortunately. So I've shot rifles, but I just think it's a principle that is so fundamental to the United States and for keeping the government at bay. I mean, look how the government is behaving with guns being legal. Imagine how they would behave if we didn't have guns. Think about it. And one of the points was Chicago, where guns are outlawed. And which city is the most violent and most dangerous city in the United States? It is Chicago. Okay, Chirac. That's why they, you know, that's why they call it Chirac. Look at this. Father's Day weekend, 5 kids died and 104 people shot. That's insane. So are they? I'm guessing they're just counting Saturday and Sunday. Or are they counting Friday too? Because say if they're just counting Saturday and Sunday, that's 52 people a day. That's like 2 an hour for the whole weekend. And guns are outlawed. When you outlaw guns, the only people who have guns are the criminals. The police, which is a criminal organization, and the gangsters, which are by definition criminal organizations. Good people need to have guns to protect themselves from the police and to protect themselves from criminals, from gangsters, from street gangsters, street criminals, not just the corporate criminals. And I believe that very strongly. This is funny. In Japan, they have banned people using a smartphone while walking. They call them smartphone zombies. It's not a bad idea, but city dwellers want to use their phones while on the move. They should stop in a place that isn't obstructing traffic. I agree. I love to read while I'm walking, and it's the daytime, and I'm walking somewhere safe. But I always stop when I'm crossing the street, and you should too. And you also shouldn't look at your phone at night. That's how I got jumped in college. I got jumped in college and sucker punched because I was looking at my phone and I wasn't paying attention. So let that be known. That being said, that happening in Japan is quite definitely way less likely to happen than anywhere in the United States. And in Madison, they tore down statues. I don't know if anybody saw that as well. But yeah, man. Oh wow, look at this already. I did a post actually, I think it was earlier today about Parler, which is this new free speech platform that I just signed up for, and more and more creators are signing up for it as well. And let me just pull this up. This is also RT. And if you guys are getting mad at only RT, it's just because I just picked the articles that are most interesting to me, and it just so happens that a lot of them are RT today. So looks like MSN is smearing Parler. In what way are they doing that? A far right cesspool. Like a Gab before it. I mean, I joined Gab, but I don't really use it that much. It has been noted for its base of users who are fans of Donald Trump, as well as the presence and proliferation of alt-right, neo-Nazi, anti-feminist, and conspiracy theory content and far-right figures. Gosh. Just looked up Parler on Wikipedia. Who wrote this? Twitter? New rule: if they join Parler, they have to leave Twitter. Oh my goodness. These people don't know how to create a password that actually works. Ted Cruz is talking about it too. Wow. And I don't even like that guy. But hey, at least he knows what's up in terms of social media censorship. So that's good. And Carol's in the building. They split the land in Israel. SHTF will be for real. Agreed. I'm broadcasting now and everybody's asleep. That's what I noticed when you live on the West Coast, or you're just on the West Coast, as I am right now, because I am on the move. Late at night, nobody is awake. Everyone in the UK is asleep, and East Coasters are asleep, and the only people who are awake are night owls on the West Coast until people in the UK wake up. Of course, everyone in Asia is awake, but I don't have too many Asians in my audience. But just for a feel-good story, which I think is great, World War II veteran of Dunkirk, no less, got a flyover from the Queen and, excuse me, from the military, and a card from the Queen. Not that that means a whole lot, because the Queen is a gangster, but just cool. I really want to talk to a World War II veteran the next chance I get. I'm gonna try to find one that'd be willing to talk to me, because it's one of my goals, one of my dreams to interview at least one, and basically as many as I can. But this pandemic really kind of put a damper on that logistically happening, which has been quite unfortunate. But there was that story of the guy in Oregon who not only defeated the Nazis, but he got through COVID as well. And he is actually pretty close to, he's out in the country somewhere. But I mean, I just can't see too many old people being open to a young person coming and seeing them during a pandemic. But if I can, find his contact info, I'm definitely gonna try to get a hold of him, because oh wow, it's just a dream of mine. I really want to talk to World War II, veterans, and just ask them what their experience is like. Oh, he got 450 cards from around the world as well. That's cool. So crazy week, a really crazy week. Lots of racism on both sides. And by both sides, I mean white and black, because literally nobody talks about any other races besides white and black. And I did make a video about that last week, just speaking on that. And it's crazy times right now. Just want everyone to, not, just put on your critical thinking caps, right? And this is something I always try to do. And I think, broadcasting these news reports really helps, and helps me digest this and process it. And I hope you guys enjoyed as well. But that being said, this has been just my weekly update. I do got roundtables this weekend, 2 of them on the way. Want to make up for not broadcasting last weekend, as I said I would. Just kind of fell through with Dr. Paul, but we are trying to find a date for not only him, but another special guest that I don't want to say yet. But that's not this weekend. That'll be sometime within the next couple weeks. But I got 2 awesome guests this week as well, so be on the lookout for that tomorrow and Sunday. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any cool articles or stuff you find interesting, please share with me. I have recently changed how I am kind of gathering articles. I'm actually just using my phone exclusively now, almost exclusively. And it makes it easier to keep them all in one place. And then I just kind of send them to myself, usually on Facebook, so I can share them as well. So if you do find any interesting stuff, because I definitely, I'm just one man, one person. I can't, go and see and, sift through all media sources at once. And that's why I think this is a team effort, definitely finding good stories, finding the best sources, etc. That being said, stay tuned for that COVID roundtable. Until next time, cheers.